Thank you for coming to YAMAGATA Youth Summit 2024 opening event today. Taking pictures, audio, and video recording are strictly prohibited. Please turn off your cell phone or switch it to silent mode. And please refrain from eating, drinking, and smoking in the hall. Thank you for your cooperation. We are pleased to present today's program. After the opening ceremony, you will see the opening attraction by kabuki actor Hashigo Nakamura as a welcome attraction. Mr. Tomoya Matsui, a chairperson of the Yamagata University 52nd Mock Trial Executive Committee, and Mr. Yasuhiro Nakajima, chairperson of Yamagata Summer Fireworks Festival Special Committee, will deliver speeches. Then we will move on to a panel discussion on the theme of A Bridge for an Inclusive Society. After the discussion, a group photo will be taken with everyone in attendance, followed by a social event meet and greet. Please use the time to greet visitors and speakers and exchange business cards. And those of you who are watching on YouTube, here are some announcements. Today's opening event will be delivered entirely in English, but maybe partially in Japanese. Please set up automatic translation before viewing. We also ask that everyone in the audience fill out the survey. Please scan the QR code on the flyer and it will fill out the survey. Thank you. Now, please watch the screen. A tourist PR video produced by Yamagata Prefecture will be shown. Please take a look.
雪の下から出てきているフキノトウですね。春の香りです。 また来てな。気をつけてね。はい、どうもありがとうございました。はい、どうも。ありがとうございました。気をつけてね。
食べよう。
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Yamagata Youth Summit 2024 opening event today. I am now going away the MC for today's event. It's a great honor to meet all of you. Thank you. Now, we'd like you to enjoy the opening attraction by kabuki actor Hashigo Nakamura. Let me introduce this wonderful kabuki actor. He was born in Tsuruoka City, Yamagata Prefecture. He has performed at the Kabukiza and other theaters in Japan and abroad in a wide range of genres, from classic kabuki to contemporary works. He's also involved in modern art and product design, making use of his traditional Japanese sensibilities. And he is a Yamagata Tourism and Tsuyahime Special Ambassador and Tsuruoka City Hometown Tourism Ambassador. So please, let's welcome him with a round of applause. Hashigo Nakamura.
高はござりまするが、工場なもって申し上げ立てまつりまする。皆々様、ご機嫌よろしゅうござりまする。歌舞伎役者中村はしごにござりまする。温かき拍手、誠にありがとうございます。本日は山形ユースサミットのオープニングを務めさせていただきます。私は普段歌舞伎座を中心とした全国の劇場また海外公演をもって歌舞伎の役者として日々精進いたしておるものでございます。またこのところは役に立つ者こそ役者ということで、社会問題に挑む歌舞伎者ということをテーマにいたしましたさまざまなアート作品を歌舞伎として上演をいたしております。ただいまより皆々様にお目にかけまするものはその中の一つでございます。世に響けカクテルの技という作品をまず最初にお目にかけたく存じまする。この作品は昨今さまざまございます災害ですとかさまざまな災い、そういったものを酒に封じ込めて飲み干してみせるという現代の社会問題に挑む歌舞伎者のヒーロー、松ヶ虎之助直秀という歌舞伎のヒーローの物語でございます。私が酒に皆々様の災いも共に封じ込め飲み干してみせる所存にござりますれば、どうか皆々様におかれましてはお楽しみいただけまするよう恋願いあげ立てまつりまする。おとぎ仲間のガキ大将松ヶ江虎之助直秀が近かるではぬ。 本州県あたりをさまようやつら見りゃ近頃噂が災害を起こすバキエブオノメこの前方寺に住まいた竜尊の力を借り人の豪たる知力と世界各地に広まるおえ東は欧州外の浜西は英国ロンドンと南は羊のニュージーランド北はロシア年もろともに飲み干さんずからは世の中の技を挑も一人も残さずきりきりと聞いてなくなれ皆様へこの辺りの厄災どもは飲み干してごらんに入れまして誠にありがとうございます。ただいま太鼓を務めてくれたのは山形県鶴岡市より根津ヶ関弁天太鼓様でございます。またこちらはありがとうございます酒川村より酒川歌舞伎の座長様にお出ましいただきました。本日は誠にありがとうございます。どうか 大きな拍手をお願いをいたします。さて、本日はもう一狂言ご用意してございます。次なる作品は舞台交響曲というものにござりまする。ラジオ体操から始まる日常、そのラジオ体操の日常がだんだん崩れ異変が起きていく。その異変より自粛期間が始まります。つまりコロナ禍を表現した作品にござりまする。その自粛期間からどのように立ち上がり、どのように立ち向かうか、未来を切り開くかというところをテーマにした作品にござりまする。星満々たりといえども月の光に勝つことをあたわず、私たち一人一人が魂を輝かせ、さまざまな星々があろうとも満月のように輝くことによって素晴らしい未来に立ち上がっていこうというものをテーマにした短い作品にござりますれば、どうか皆々様には大きな拍手と、私は屋号成駒屋と申しますんで、勇気が出ましたら成駒屋とこう声をかけていただきとうございます。それが歌舞伎でございます。舞台と客席が一つになることこそ歌舞伎の醍醐味でござりますれば、皆々様におかれましてはどうか共に舞台を作ることができまするよう、応用のご見物のほどをひとえにお願い申し上げ立てますりまする。といえども月の光に勝つことをあたわすならば手柄に絡めてみろ。 皆様へ、私は世の社会問題に挑む歌舞伎者としてこの後も精一杯努めてまいりまする。共に良き未来を築けたらと思います。では皆様、素晴らしき山形より始まる未来でお会いいたしましょう。
Please give it up for Hashigo Nakamura again. Thank you very much. Wow, it was amazing, wasn't it? Actually, it was first time for me to see contemporary kabuki, but it was also both of traditional and innovative act. Thank you very much, Nakamura-san. Now, on behalf of the organizers, Mieko Yoshimura, the governor of Yamagata Prefecture, will deliver a speech.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mieko Yoshimura, the governor of Yamagata Prefecture. I'd like to welcome you all to Yamagata Prefecture today. The Yamagata Youth Summit 2024 has officially begun. This year, starting with the opening event here at Bunshokan, the regional sessions will be held in 4 locations: Nanyo City, Shonai Town, Funagata Town, and Yamagata City. The Youth Summit brings leaders from various fields together to discuss common global challenges and the utilization of local resources with young people here in Yamagata Prefecture. In the past 2 youth summits, all participants confirmed their desire to build a society in which we share, respect, and enhance each other's values using digital technology, art, and the use of local resources as a starting point. There are concerns about a decline in vitality in our prefecture due to a declining population caused by a low birth rate and an aging population. Even in this situation, I believe that sharing new values from a new perspective here in Yamagata will open up the future of our prefecture. Currently, the most pressing issue we face is the creation of an inclusive society in which people, regardless of nationality, gender, age, or whether they are majority or minority, can recognize their differences and can join hands and live together as equal members of their local community. For this reason, our prefecture has declared this year as first year of Tabunka Kyosei and is focusing on the realization of an inclusive society and ultimately the development of the prefecture. At this year's summit, we would like to have a deeper discussion on creating a society where people with diverse cultures and values can live in peace, and we hope that this summit will be one of the steps to promote the creation of such an inclusive society. I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. Please participate actively and join us in making this Youth Summit a success. The summit has now officially started. Please enjoy our Youth Summit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Governor Yoshimura. Thank you. Next, two guest speakers will give us speeches on the theme of tips for realizing inclusive society. First, let's welcome Mr. Tomoya Matsui, a chairperson of Yamagata University 52nd Mock Trial Executive Committee.
Hello everyone, I am Tomoya Matsui, a third-year student from Yamagata University. First of all, I would like to thank you for giving me some of your time and this precious opportunity to speak to you today. I would like to talk about how we can realize an inclusive society based on my own experiences. We are surrounded by people with various differences in nationality, gender, age, and physical and mental abilities. Equality and human rights are becoming more and more important, and there is a strong belief that all people should receive the same benefits regardless of their differences. My major at university is law, with a particular focus on constitutional law. I am learning about equality and human rights, but I can't help but feel that we should be careful about potentially abusing them. Because they are important rights, they have a strong influence and could hurt people if they are wrongly perceived. In addition, there can also be residual discrimination. I know some people from other countries, and depending on where they come from, people around them may not have a good impression of them. I personally do not understand why this is the case. Maybe the imaging of the country of origin is not good, but that has nothing to do with the people in question. The kind of person they are is what's most important. It is often said that it is better to look at things from a broader perspective. But perhaps we should look at things from a narrower, more personal perspective when dealing with people. At my university, we are currently conducting a mock trial. In it, we take a social or a legal issue and present the results of our research through a simulation, somewhat like a play. In doing so, I also take into consideration which goals of the SDGs I can contribute it to. We are very happy if our activities have even a small positive impact on society. and we believe it is important to do our best in what we can do, regardless of our status as students or adults. Finally, I hope that we can come closer to a society where we can respect each other despite our differences and where all people can find it easier to live than how we do now. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matsui. Next, let's welcome Mr. Yasuhiro Nakajima, Chairperson of Yamagata Summer Fireworks Festival Special Committee.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yasuhiro Nakajima. I grew up here in Yamagata until high school. I moved to Aichi for my undergrad. After I graduated from my undergrad, Chukyu University, I went to the United States for getting a master's degree and getting a job. 8 years ago, I come back my hometown here in Yamagata. The first things I was looking for opportunity connecting to the world. Because of my past experience, I wanted to be international somehow. And I found a group called JCI Yamagata. Okay, today's topic is inclusive society. I will talk about it in my point of view. There are very limited numbers of people in Yamagata being able to communicate with people from outside. I believe that it does not matter speaking different languages, having an experience going to outside of Japan, but I think that it's still important for us here in Yamagata to have people to communicate to outside. We here Yamagata needs to actively accept people from outside, having a different culture, and at the same time, we should make an environment that those people feel comfortable staying and living in Yamagata. I believe that there are some groups trying to interact with international. Those groups should not only look at outside, but also look at inside of community because of the reason I talked before. Well, one solution is that, for example, I'm belonging to JCI Yamagata. Today, I'm also making a speech on behalf of JCI Yamagata. Please let me talk about the JCIs a little bit. JCI stands for Junior Chamber International. JCI has a global network. There are over 270,000 JCI members and over 2.5 million graduates in 112 countries. JCI Yamagata is one of JCI members. I think that why not this city, Yamagata, uses JCI Yamagata to expand the chance to the world and cooperate for making an inclusive society in Yamagata. I feel that we can work together to make Yamagata better. Finally, I believe that we can make an impact to diversity of Yamagata if we become a one team. I also want to be a part of it, of course. I want to use my past experience in order to make Yamagata better for today's topic. I'd like to thank you for giving me an opportunity today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nakajima. Now, Governor Yoshimura will leave the venue due to official business. Please send her a round of applause. The panel discussion will follow, but please wait a few minutes until the stage is set up. Thank you. Thank you for waiting patiently. We will now start a panel discussion. Let me introduce today's panelists. Yuji, a personality. Akemi Tsunagawa, a representative director of Bespoke Incorporated. Julie Bode, Sustainable Tourist Advisor. Kyoko Otawa, a President and a Representative Director of Latona Corporation. And today's facilitator, Alice French, a writer and a journalist. Now I pass the microphone over to Alice-san.
Thank you. Hello. Hi, everybody. Please take a seat. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out today. I know it was very wet this morning. There was a lot of heavy rain, so thank you for making the trip for us. It's an honor to be back. This is my third Youth Summit, and I'm very grateful to be invited back for another year. Has anybody here been to this Youth Summit before? Okay, a few people, and everybody else, it's your first time, so I hope that you're going to enjoy today. We've got a brilliant and very diverse panel of great speakers today, so I think we'd like to start out by hearing your self-introductions, please. If you could just introduce yourself, your name, and your job, and any other things that you would like the audience to know about yourself. Yuji, would you like to go first?
Okay, hi, nice to meet you. This is my first time being in Yamagata Youth Summit, and I'm very honored to be here. And well, I work in Japan, and I have my own TV show and radio shows, so usually I'll be on TV or radio. And I'm also a father of 4 child, and it will be great to share some of what I've been how my family is, and being a father, and at the same time working in Japan. And my father's American and my mother's Japanese, so having international family, and there's so much colors in my family. So I would like to share some of my stories today. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Akemi, would you like to go next?
Sure. Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Akemi. I came from Tokyo this morning with my 3-year-old son. He was still sleeping, so I just did a quick nappy change, put him in a stroller with his pajamas, hopped on the Shinkansen. Very honored to be here today, and I'm also very excited because Yamagata is actually one of our favorite cities. And I'm raising my son actually all alone. I'm a single mom. My partner, ex-partner, lives in Vienna, and he doesn't really help out much. So here I am. And another thing I do, main thing I do, is an AI company. We have AI solution for public sectors. Today, I am excited to share some of my experiences. Some of them actually a little crazy, but hopefully to inspire some of the young people today. Thank you.
Thank you. It's great to hear that you're a big Yamagata fan. We definitely we have a lot of Yamagata love up on the stage here today, which is great. Julie, would you like to go next?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for the people who came 2 years ago, last year, and this year too. That's actually my second year here. I'm a sustainable tourism consultant, which is a very long term to say, I just want Japan to survive. I usually do consulting for a smaller company or local areas who would like to make sure that their tradition or important assets don't die. And we try to use tourism as a resource to encourage local economy and create more jobs in rural areas. I am also very fond of kimono, and I do a lot of second-hand kimono events. I'm also doing a lot of cat rescue, so much things. But I think what's interesting today is that probably my gender will be discussed today because I'm not a woman. And I think we will have time to talk a little bit more about that, but we will be able to talk about what it is for me as a French person in Japan. We have a lot of international couples here, actually, so I think there's a lot of things to talk about that too, as well as working in a Japanese environment when you're not in the standards of the Japan society. So I hope you have a lot of questions at the end of this 90 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and last but very much not least, Kyoko.
Hello everyone, I'm Kyoko Otawa, CEO of Latona. It's second time for me to be here. Last year too. So I'm providing the software system using AI and IoT, especially for like manufacturing, like digital transformation. So as Julie-san says, I'm also like international couple. My husband is like British. So so I don't have any experience to study abroad or like live foreign countries. But I could got married with non-Japanese. So a kind of international, maybe. So I want to talk about a lot of things together. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Yes, Kyoko, you were on the panel last year as well, but for me, it's also, along with you guys, it's my first time to meet these three brilliant panelists, so I hope we will have a lot of new and very interesting conversations today. So our topic is a bridge for an inclusive society, and we just heard from the three brilliant speakers before what an inclusive society means. And I'd like to start off just by asking our panelists what an inclusive society means to them. We have a diverse range of different backgrounds here. We have some people who have lived outside Japan, some people who have moved from outside of Japan to Japan, including myself. So yeah, let's hear from each of you what inclusive society means and what you think is necessary to create an inclusive society in Japan as a whole, but perhaps particularly in places like Yamagata that are slightly more rural. Yuji, how about you?
At the beginning, I told my father's American and I'm Japanese. So I've been seeing the both sides. Like I was born in United States of America, Florida, Miami. And I lived there until I was 5. And my mother's Japanese. So we all lived in Miami. But something happened to my father and mother. I don't know what it is, but they got divorced. And I'm the only child, so I came to Japan with my mother when I was 5. So since then, I've been living with my mother, and my mother's family is all Japanese. And the first thing I thought was the difference of how to communicate with each other. Because when I was in America, everybody gives the love by hugging, kissing, and express their love with their voice. Okay? In Japan, I don't want to say they're shy, but it's different. They love their family. They love, for sure, and you guys know that. But the way to express the love is different. So when I came to Japan, I kind of felt sad, because even my grandmother, she had a smile on her face, but she didn't hug me, and she didn't even kiss me, and she didn't say she loves me. Yeah. So the way to express the love was different, and I felt kind of sad. I didn't have any brothers, sisters, and my mother was working like you, and I think that's a beautiful thing. But usually my mother was at work, so I was at home on my own. I was pretty sad. So yeah, there's a huge difference in Japan and other countries. But since I've been living in Japan for until today, it's more than 30 years? Yeah, 30 years. I started to find the way of loving people in Japanese style. Yeah, and that's also beautiful. Not only saying I love you in the word with your vocal. It doesn't have to. You don't have to express from your mouth. You could just act the way you love. Like you could share love by maybe serving some food to your child, or maybe smiling at their face, or picking them up at school. There's so many loves around. So I started to find the way to different types of loving. So yeah, I think that's a beautiful thing. And I have 4 kids. I would love to share them both style. Yeah, I want them to hug when they go to see my grandparents in America. But when they're in Japan, there's Japanese style. So knowing different countries' style is beautiful. That's what I think. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I think you make some really important points, and that's a really important aspect of an inclusive society, I think, as well, is a society that allows different people to express themselves in whichever way makes them most comfortable, and also the ability to adapt. Like you say, you were able to adapt to the different style of communication and showing love, which is a really great story. I want to come to Julie next, because obviously you have, Japan is not your home country, but you've been living here quite a while, right? Can you resonate with any of the things that Yuji just said about the different communication styles, and how does that link into inclusive society for you?
Oh, yes. I relate so much.
Okay.
But for me, what an inclusive society means is not about equality, like our previous speaker said, but more about equity. And what equity is about is that everybody is different. And in order to achieve something that's fair, you need to treat people differently. So inclusive society is just only a society that takes into consideration people's differences and make a strength out of it instead of making a weakness out of it. And I always love to say that to you Japanese people, but if you think about this, the word kaisha is the same kanji as the word shakai. It's the same kanji. And to make a company run, you need to make sure that you're using the best part of every of your employees. to make the vision come true. And I think that the society needs to be exactly the same. Nobody's perfect, even Japanese people and even French, and maybe French people are perfect, hold on. But we need to make the best of what we have. So when you said life gives you lemons, if lemons is people differences, make a good thing out of it and use it the right way. That's what is, for me, an inclusive society.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's basically embracing diversity, isn't it? That's a huge part of it, I think. And we're very lucky to have on this panel today lots of different representations of gender and nationality and ways of thinking and background. So I think that will be really great, and we'll be able to have lots of insights into lots of different elements of an inclusive society. Akemi, how about you? What does inclusive society mean to you?
For me personally, it means a society that accepts things for the way they are without trying to change. And I have a few examples, actually. When I gave birth to my son, I didn't tell anyone about it. Little shocking, because I didn't tell anyone about it except, well, my partner and some of my family members.
Because
no.
Nobody noticed?
During COVID.
Oh, I see.
During COVID, 2021,
Okay.
Wow.
September, during COVID. So I accidentally got pregnant. It wasn't part of my plan. And because my company received a lot of investments from investors, and when we first received investments, most of them actually did ask me, oh, do you have a plan of getting married? Do you have a plan of getting a baby? So to me, my interpretation of the conversation was I wasn't allowed to take any leave. So I told myself, if I don't go on a leave, I can still have a baby. So I had a baby. I didn't tell anyone, and people actually didn't find out until my son cried in my all-hands meeting 3 months later. And around that time, I happened to get invited to some speaking event, online event from APAC or maybe ASEAN. During my presentation, because it was online, I accepted it. During my presentation, as soon as I started, my son started crying. But because I'm a single mom, I didn't have anyone to hand the baby to. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll breastfeed him. I moved the camera up and started breastfeeding while navigating my presentation on the right hand, looking at the camera as if nothing's happening, but he's full, so he doesn't stop crying. So I started rocking him and presenting. After 20 minutes, my turn finished. So many chats coming in from the organizer. Hey, shall we turn off the camera? I didn't get a chance to check the messages. Then there was also a panel discussion afterwards. There were a few other people, like scientists from WHO in charge of COVID, some important people. My session was quite mess, so I didn't expect any questions. But every time someone asked me a question, my son cried, so I can't hear the question. And then every time I tried to answer, he cried, so nobody could hear what I was trying to say. So towards the end, I'm like, hey, could you message me a question? My company does automated messaging, so maybe it makes sense we communicate via messages. It was quite a mess, but they actually accepted the situation, and I felt like, okay, maybe I actually don't need to hide my own child. And that was actually a turning point
You're
for me.
our new hero.
Yeah, you're cool.
Very good multitasking.
So cool.
I never got invited back to the event again, but I don't regret it because of course, my son is more important than anything else. And today, I think someone else is actually watching my son for me upstairs.
Is it a he, right?
Yeah,
he's here today?
Yeah, he's napping, but
Okay.
I'm not sure if he's still napping. So thank you for whoever is watching free babysitting.
I'm sure he's very proud. Well, no, that's a brilliant story, and that really encapsulates what inclusive means. And a word that you use there is accepting and acceptance. And I think that's really important too, like you say, acknowledging and then accepting, and hopefully also accommodating people's differences and different requirements, right? Which is something that perhaps there still needs to be a bit more discussion around, not only in Japan, but in workplaces across the world, I think. And hopefully we can get into that in today's discussion.
Right. I do admit it is very disturbing sometimes, so I wouldn't recommend it. But when you run your own company, you can do anything you want without getting fired.
Absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
true.
Kyoko, do you agree with that?
Yeah, totally agree. And I can understand her feeling when you started your business and worried about the like investors worried about some kind of like are you taking like leave for like kids or something? Yeah. And okay, my turn. I think it's important to have a confidence, like our like identity. Yeah, I'm a woman, or I'm like 30 years old, or 20 years old, or like from somewhere from like outside Japan or something. Yeah, it's because if everyone has a confidence, we try to understand each other, and it creates that good society. Yeah, in Japan, Japanese people tend to adjust like others, like major like people or something. So if I'm a minor situation, they want to try to adjust. Yeah, it's not good attitude, I think. So yeah, for me, it's a good way to have a confidence. Yeah, and share the feeling, share the opinion or something. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. And I think you've all got a very similar idea of what an inclusive society is, but it's colored by your personal experiences. And some keywords that have come up in all of your descriptions are things like awareness, acceptance, diversity, accommodation, confidence. And I think we're building a nice picture of what an inclusive society means to us and could potentially mean for Yamagata. And I think for all of those values, something that's really important and something that we are showing today just by doing this panel is communication, is the ability to communicate and to make oneself understood by a wide variety of diverse people, and to be able to accept different people who might be speaking a different language, but also might be communicating in a different way from you via their body language, or like you said, Yuji, hugging or not hugging. Even something as simple as that can be quite a big cultural difference. And we represent on this panel today a group of people with various different linguistic skills, which is great. And I want to come to Julie again, because you are originally from France, so you speak French, you also speak English, and you also speak Japanese. And German. Okay, so quadrilingual, perhaps? Multilingual. Too many languages to count. But I mean, this means that you are a master at studying languages. And I'm sure there are some people in the audience today who are thinking, oh, I'd love to upgrade my language study, whether that's English or any language. Can you just give us an idea of your sort of language learning journey? Why did you originally decide to start studying foreign languages, and particularly Japanese?
I'll start by saying I'm a master at not doing my homeworks, right? I'm a master of not opening the textbooks. And I'm a master of not listening in class, which is why it took me 20 years to learn Japanese. However, I can say I'm a master in talking with people, making friends anywhere, not afraid of people around me. And I think that's the biggest thing, is people tend to forget that a language is not a goal. A language is only a tool that helps you communicate with people, understand their point of view, understand the culture. So learning a language should never be your goal. It's not a goal. Learning the language, it's the journey towards something else. For me, it's talking with old Japanese men in izakaya. This way I can get ogori, right?
That's true, because the men's in the izakaya, they're not shy anymore, right?
Yes.
With alcohol.
Yes, Japanese, as soon as they have one drop of alcohol, they suddenly become themselves because they know that if anything bad happens, if they don't follow the rules, they can say, I'm sorry, I was drunk. Even one drop of alcohol, right? So for me, learning a language is never, never, never to be your goal. Otherwise, you'll never get it, unless you're a kanji otaku, which is not my case.
Me neither. No, I can definitely attest to that as well. I studied Japanese at university, but obviously studying Japanese in the UK is a very different experience than actually coming here and speaking to native speakers. And I completely agree with you that the most important part of learning a language, at least in my experience, is going out there, not being afraid to make mistakes, and just speaking to real people, whether they're of your age or, like you say, whether they're people sat in the izakaya, whether they're in your class, whether they're in the convene, wherever, and just using the language. But I do think that it's scary for someone who is still at the beginner level of their language learning. And Kyoko, I want to come to you because you are quite a rare species in that you have actually studied English pretty much just by studying yourself, right? Do you have any tips for us? How do you get over that initial sort of, I suppose, scariness of speaking the language?
But I'm totally agree to Julie-san. Yes, my experience, I was in Los Angeles for 1 month, only 1 month, as an internship student when I was 20. So I couldn't speak English at all, and I missed the instruction from my boss. It's bad experience for me. But what I need to do is I need to ask if I can't understand the meaning or like what he said. So please say again. Please tell me again. Again. Okay. My boss could tell me like 5 times or 10 times. Finally, I could understand, and the communication was so important for me, and I tried to contact like slowly and like repeatedly. Need to be brave.
If I can add something, I'm sure parents will understand, and any of you who has a special interest will understand. How come that when you're 5, you don't care about the poetry whatsoever you learn at school, but you know all the Pokemon names by heart? You have kids who know all the stations of Tokyo trains, right? And it's very cool. The only thing you have to learn from this is that learning only comes from having fun or being in a survival situation. So I have been teacher for kids in English and seniors in English as well, despite my French accent. But everything I was always telling them is if there's something you like in Japanese in your home country, find the exact same thing in English or in Russian or in Spanish, whatever language you want to learn. You have access to YouTube nowadays. And your homework for this week is to come next week and tell me who's your favorite Spanish YouTuber or who's your favorite Spanish American YouTuber talking about things that you like. And people will tell me, but I like fishing. I don't think that the name of the fish will be interesting for my TOEIC, right? Right. There's not really big chances that there's a text about fishes in the TOEIC experience. However, between the fish names, there are sentences, there are words, there are grammar points. You will learn because you know already what they're talking about. And then you'll see it again. The way I learned Japanese, I'm gonna tell you, I was fan of Matsumoto Jun. And so I watched every and each drama that he made. And so I'm very confident in my romantic Japanese. I know, like this, how to say love and show love and stuff. Oh yes, I know all the drama situation of that. This is how I entered Japan.
Very important vocabulary.
But I spent hours watching TV dramas on my small computer in the library, and like an otaku I was, that I still am, for other things. I had so much fun, I didn't even realize I was learning Japanese. I was learning on the side, with like night classes. But I spent so much more time. I mean, it was 1 hour of class every week. I don't even remember the teacher. I'm sorry. Sorry, teacher. But the dramas, oh yeah.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's finding the passion and the motivation to keep going and the reason to learn the language and to be able to communicate. And Akemi, you spent some time studying in the States, right? Did that sort of also push you into sort of survival mode, or how did your studying go when you were over there?
It was definitely a survival mode for me. I was born and raised in Japan until 18. Then I moved to the States. But my biggest reason for moving away from home was to get away from my mother, who's very scary. So when I first got to the States, I spoke zero English, like literally zero, nothing. I didn't go to international school. It was a local school and no English. First time going to Starbucks, I still remember I wanted to order caramel macchiato. No, I think it was caramel frappuccino. I knew the staff would not understand me, but I still said caramel frappuccino. And then the person didn't get it. I got that look. And I knew it was going to happen, so I wrote it down on a piece of paper. Checked the spelling multiple times. It was perfect. Good handwriting. I gave it to the person. Still got hot chocolate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Written on a piece of paper.
It was caramel frappuccino, but I still got hot chocolate. And because I didn't speak a word of English, I couldn't complain. Saddest experience ever. So I went back, and I went back home, right? Home means house in Houston, middle of nowhere. I had about 1 month until the school was about to start. So I decided to study English by watching movie. Everyone recommends that method. I didn't believe in it, but I had no friends, no car. It was in the middle of nowhere, nothing to do for 1 month. So I watched Mr. and Mrs. Smith with English subtitle for the first maybe 3 times. There was no other DVD in the house, so I watched the same 100 times. And after 3 times, you can be Angelina Jolie, like you memorize all the phrases and everything, right? And after 100 times, I think I already spoke pretty good English.
Wow, that's amazing. But also that's really testament to how helpful film and YouTube and videos can be, right? And I mean, Julie, you mentioned it too, these visual aids are so important, right?
My first phrase in Japanese that I was so confident about it was, ここで働かせてください.
Do you still use that today?
Yes. That's maybe why I'm here
Actually,
today.
where did you learn that?
You don't know?
One Piece? No?
Come on, someone tell him.
Hey, what was that?
This is Chihiro.
Oh, what was that?
Yes, this is Sento Chihiro no Kamikakushi.
Okay.
You're fired.
I'm fired.
Sorry, I'm a Ghibli otaku, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
But, yeah, Yuji, I really want to hear about your experience,
Okay.
because you were born in the States and you moved here when you were quite a young child. But so did your mum speak to you in Japanese even when you were living in the States as well, or when did you start being able to speak it?
Well, I was born in the States, and I only spoke English at the first time. And my father speaks only English. And so my mother is the only person who speaks Japanese and English, but she spoke English. So I never had a chance to even hear one word of Japanese. And well, since they got divorced, she brought me to Japan, and that was the first time I heard Japanese, and that was when I was 5. And I couldn't understand not even a single word, and I heard everything like blah 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 going. But the only thing I watched Anpanman. Yeah, Anpanman, yeah, when I was 5 on TV. And it's a character, and it's made of bread. And I was asking Mom, what is this character? And she's like saying, this is Anpanman. And Anpanman usually fights against the bad guys, right? And he punches. So when he punches the bad guy, he says, I'm punch. So that's the first word I learned.
English.
No, in Japanese. I'm punch is the first word. So when I punch my friend, I mean, when we're playing, I was always saying like, I'm punch, and that was the only word I knew. And after that, I started to learn like oishii and gochiso-sama and arigato. And well, I just want to say, a lot of my friend in Japan, most of my friend is Japanese, and they're afraid to speak English. But when I ask the word, what word do you know in English? They say, thank you, and yes, no, and sorry, and I love you. And I always say, that's good enough. I mean,
yeah, those are the basics. That's all you need. Yeah.
If you know that word, you could live there.
Definitely.
And, right, but they're not brave enough to like, go out there and speak with only one words when they ask long questions, and they're afraid to like say yes or no.
That's the exact reason why French people don't want to talk English to you. It's not, everybody says it's because of their pride. It's just because they're so afraid. They know that their accent is bad, exactly same of Japanese people.
I think they're similar.
And that's sad, because an accent doesn't make you enough, less good at communicating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not at all. And yeah, I think what you're all saying is that it's the bravery that you need to be able to go out there and know that you might make a mistake, but that at least you're trying. And I just want to come back to you briefly, Akemi, because you do have that experience of studying abroad in a different environment, in a different culture. Is that something that you would recommend? There might be people in the audience today that are sort of deciding what they want to do with their studies and how they're going to improve their English skills. Would you say that that's a good move?
Highly recommended. So I always tell people, studying abroad, for me, I graduated from university in California. So I spent actually graduating 3 years. So 3 years in the US and about 1 year in Canada. That was the second best thing that happened to me in my life. And during those years, I managed to study Hebrew and Arabic as well.
Wow.
Not so
oh my
fluent.
goodness.
It helped me graduate from college faster, so I did that. And acquiring a new language completely opens up like a whole lot of opportunities, like the new world that you never had a chance to discover before. And at home, I actually have a survival situation right now because my son and I just two of us live together, and everything is in Japanese. And his father only speaks German and English. So every time the daddy comes home, he tries to speak to our child in English, and my son has no idea. So he responds in Japanese, but I don't think he understands anything his father says. So it's a very sad situation, and we are trying to change that by placing him to non-Japanese school. So language is very important for us.
Yeah, and like you say, it's kind of until you're really forced to do it, sometimes it's just difficult to get the motivation. But it's great to hear that all of you have managed to find that motivation somewhere. And it's interesting that you say it's really important for business to be able to, it's opened doors for you to being able to speak another language. And I want to I'm aware of time, so I just want us to pivot slightly to one of the other topics that you guys brought up, which is important for an inclusive society, which is diversity. And as I said at the beginning, we've got a very diverse panel here, not only linguistically, but also with regards to gender and identity too. And we're very lucky to have two women working in the tech world. And I'm wary of not overusing the term businesswoman, because I don't think that one's gender should necessarily define one's identity within the business world or anywhere else. But, we are in Japan, and not just in Japan, but the world over, the tech world is still quite male heavy, and you are both two young women working in that sphere. So I'm wondering if you can just talk to us a little bit about how did you get into that area of business, and are there any challenges that you've experienced because of not necessarily just being a woman, but because of being who you are? But also, are there any benefits that it's brought? Because you obviously bring a slightly different perspective to a quite male-dominated industry. Kyoko, how about you?
Yeah, as Alice-san said, of course, in my field, like factory, the client is, most of the clients are guy and the older men. Yeah, and they, of course, they try to believe me, but somehow I feel like they are not believe me in the beginning. So I try to explain a lot of things and tell to like our technology, our system, our benefit to use this new system or something, and like try to communicate a lot, not like just like not pretend like just professional. I want to communicate to like how's business, how's like operation, something. Yeah, then I keep the attitude to them. They gradually change the attitude and like reputation for me. Yeah, and after that, the reputation is very high, like I expected. Yeah, because they expect my level is not so high. So wow, that's good. Yeah. It's my like good in a good situation for me. It's yeah. Impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that in the area that you work in, which is AI and dealing with a lot of new tech and new ideas, it is very beneficial to have someone from a newer generation bringing your ideas, right, to the table.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, recently I had very grateful things from my client. Actually, we don't want to change their operation, like factories operation or like a supply chain operation. So I try to implement our system with less operation changing. But they talk to me, please I use like more like latest technology. We can change our operation to like new technology. Yeah, that's good. Like mind changing. Yeah, my experience recently.
Yeah, and the generational differences is really what's going to breed innovation. You know, so that's really great.
Yeah, they want to change and make a new innovation together. Yeah.
No, that's great. And Akemi, of course, you also work in a similar field, and you've already spoken about the hurdles that you experienced as a mother. But do you think there's anything that being a woman in particular brings to your job? Or do you do your job with an awareness of being a woman? Is it something that you think about? Do you feel like it has an impact on your work or not so much?
I didn't want to accept the fact it had some impacts until I had a baby. But in the meantime, I probably didn't have as much confidence before and not as much track record. So that also changes the dynamics, right? So for instance, back in 2016 or 2017, one of the cabinet members of former Prime Minister Abe called us and said, hey, please explain about a chatbot. This is way before ChatGPT came out. So back then, nobody knew about what chatbot actually meant, and we were one of the early movers. So after a quick presentation, this politician, back then was already 60-something, and he had a lot of question marks on his face. And I explained about the chatbot, and I asked, is there any question? And the first thing he said was, what is chat? And imagine how difficult it is to explain a term chat to a 60-year-old person, male, right? So I asked, oh, do you have like Line app? He said, no. Do you know iMessage? He says, no. Do you know SMS? He says, no. So I asked, do you have an iPhone? And he had probably the first version of iPhone. No, the first version. If you sell that on Mercari today, you'll make a fortune, right? And then I said, oh, it's an automated version of email. And he still didn't get it. I gave up. He gave me some gifts from Kyoto, like tea leaves. We left, right? This is in 2017. And fast forward, last year, was it last year? I think 2023. Until last year, I was one of the members for Prime Minister Kishida's digitization policy committees. This is like committee to discuss policies for digitization for the country. And this politician who didn't know about chat was actually sitting across from me on the same table. I don't think he noticed me. No, we didn't have a conversation. It was very far, Prime Minister's office, but I felt very sentimental. The person obviously shouldn't be discussing digitization. He was falling asleep, maybe. But I was also happy that the society is changing. If it was like 2017, I would have never been invited.
Yeah, and it definitely does feel like, I mean, I've been living in Japan for the last 5 years and throughout the pandemic, as I think we all have. And it does feel like a lot of change has happened, particularly in the last sort of 3 or 4 years within Japan with regards to, technology and communication and also gender and diversity. Julie, do you feel like that too? You've been living in Japan for far longer than I have, but do you feel like the pandemic had a particular impact on the way that Japan works and also awareness of things like diversity and nationality? What's been your experience with COVID?
As everyone, my experience with COVID was very bad. But I think something that the Japanese, everybody suffered from this, and there's no way of, we're not comparing. But something that people who have the Japanese passport don't realize is that us who have chosen Japan, no matter how it takes, and let me tell you, Japan is not making it easy for us to stay. So we really choose Japan because we love it, not because we are just born here, sorry. Some of us were prisoned inside Japan, and some of us were prisoned outside Japan. We could not leave to see our family back in the country, and if we did, we could not come back to see our family here. So I know a friend who left randomly 3 days before the Japan Sakoku lockdown to go to New Zealand with her families and children, leaving her father, who's Japanese, who had his own company working in Japan. They only seen each other 6 months later because they were, closed outside of Japan with no way of returning. I have a very dear friend here who spent a whole year outside of Japan because he could not go back. For me, it was losing members of my family and not being able to go to the funerals in France because I knew that if I left Japan, I would never be able to come back. And I had a fiance, I had 4 cats, still have 4, and I have my life here. And it was no way. Usually when I come back to France, 1 or 2 weeks is fine. I eat cheese the first week, and then the second week I wish I was back in Japan. So it had an immense cost, mental cost for all the foreigners in Japan, especially the ones who look like foreigners, because unfortunately, and I think the dancer, Mr. Nakamura, expressed it very beautifully earlier on. People started to be afraid of each other. When I caught corona, I live in a very residential area outside of Nagoya. None of the people around my house wanted to even do the groceries and leave them by our door because they were so afraid of getting it. I couldn't bring my cat who was dying to the vet because the vet would not accept the cat. When I knew after that people in my neighborhood, we had no problem with their dogs during Corona, but I think the fact that I am foreigner didn't really help. And so we were constantly, facing TVs saying, oh, bad foreigners, they're bringing Corona to Japan. Hold on. The only people who are traveling right now are Japanese people. So who's bringing it to Japan, guys? Just let's be clear. I love you, right? I love being here. But it was a lot of internal things that people would think and never say out loud before Corona start being allowed during Corona. And we had places in Japan and officials in Japan saying very bad things about diversity. And at the same time, this is when SDGs and sustainable and diversity words arrived in Japan. So it was very ambivalent to see people who had weird things to say about foreigners, bad foreigners bringing Corona, at the same time as wearing this wonderful badge on their, on their suit. So I do think Corona changed face of Japan tremendously on so many levels. And I think the biggest one is that we are live today on YouTube. Most of us might have had a few, maybe hundreds of online meetings since, something that would have never happened before. We have seen development of apps, developments of co-working. We've seen finally freelancing, freelancing arriving to Japan. It has also a bad side of Gyomu Itaku and not, but that's not the conversation today. So there have been so many changes in just a few years in the Japanese society, for bad on some things and for good on some things, because some people have started to be heard stronger. And also for the gender diversity, which is something we're going to talk later, we have had in Asia as well, some country legalizing gay marriage, which is very close from here is Taiwan. And I think Vietnam also did it, but I'm not really sure. And if I'm getting wrong, please forgive it. But anyway, so Japan is taking more and more and more into consideration things happening because they don't like to be left behind.
Yeah, I think that's an element. I think also what you bring up there is how important inclusivity becomes in times of crisis, right? Whether that crisis is a pandemic or whether that crisis is, as you were talking about, Akemi, you're on a Zoom meeting and your baby starts crying, and whatever that crisis is, inclusivity becomes so much more important when you're going through something. And I do want to talk to the two parents that we have on the panel today about that. There is a saying in English, it takes a village. Particularly, when we're talking about, whether you're raising cats or raising children or doing a job or whatever it is that you're doing, you need to have teamwork, right? And Yuji, you, as you mentioned, are a father to 4 kids, which I'm sure keeps you very busy. And I'm sure it's a lot of fun, but there's also challenges that come with that. And when we were talking earlier today before the panel, you mentioned the word teamwork when you were talking about how you raise your kids and how you work with your wife to do that. And I'm just wondering if you can just talk a little bit about that and about how inclusivity feeds into the way that you bring up your kids, and particularly as a father in a society where it's perhaps still not 100% normalized for dads to be super involved in child rearing. How have you been approaching that?
Yeah, I'm the only one working in my house, but in these days, it's kind of rare, starting to get rare, because usually in Japan, like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, mostly man has to work, and woman has to stay at home and do some cookings, and that was the old style of Japan. And there's some place still going like that, but it's starting to get like more free, and they could discuss. And a lot of family has a father and mother working in a different company and raising child together as a teamwork, and I think that's beautiful. But in our case, I'm the only one working, and my wife is taking care of my house and the kids. And I think it's not easy for her to like raise 4 kids without me, but I always come back home I don't drink any alcohols, and I don't play that much with my friends. So when I finish my work, I'll go straight back to home and take care of the kids. And that's the timing when I switch. I try to switch. I try to make her rest and do whatever she wanted to do that she couldn't do without me, when I was out. And so I do. The only thing I could do as a father is, since I come back home late, the only thing I could do is take my child to the bathroom, take a bath with him, let them shower, wash their hair, and I still have a baby. He's not even 2 years old, so he still drinks milk, so I have to make the milk. And at the nighttime, he can't sleep until the morning, so whenever he cries, I carry him to the upstairs, so I don't want to wake up the other child. And yeah, so it's not easy to be a father. I'm not sleeping well. But the thing is, I'm trying not to be a father at the same time. I think that's the key, because actually trying to be father is not, being father is very easy, because if you have 4 kids, there's always something going on. Like the kids are fighting over there, and this kid is spilling some orange juice on the floor, and yeah. So if you stay with them, you're always going to be angry at something. But you don't want to be angry all the time. So being father is so easy. You don't even have to think. But I'm trying not to be a father that much. I want to be a friend with them, and I want to treat them like they are not my child. I mean, not child. They're my child, but I'm trying to treat them like a usual friend or human. Because if my friend spills the orange juice, I'm not going to be mad at them, right? So I just want to treat them as a human. And, well, I'll give a tip to them. But, yeah, so I'm sorry. I was talking about my wife and my relationship, right? Okay. Yeah. So we're having a great balance. And we talked about that together. And I even told her, should I save my job? Like, I'm fully working every day right now. And I told her, if it's not easy for you to being at home all day, I could save my job. Like I could do my job less than now, and I could go back home and take care of the kids. And if you want to work, you could go work. But she chose that style. Yeah. She said, I'm better at taking care of kids more than you, so I'll be at home. And I was like, okay, I'll work, and I'll try to make money enough for them. So in our case, we discussed, and we're having a great relationship and great teamwork right now. So I think this is our style.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And I mean, again, it circles back to communication, right? And it's making sure that you're both on the same page and respecting each other. And also, it's so great to hear that, because the 4 children that you have are going to be part of the next generation, and they're going to have an image of men also being involved in the household and in childbearing, which is really great. Now, Akemi, obviously your experience of childbearing is perhaps quite different. Is there anything that you would like to see, perhaps specifically Japan, but just sort of society in general, change that would make it easier for mums like you or parents like you? And also, do you feel like in the few years since you've had your son, have things changed in Japan for single mothers and parents in general? And what would you like to see still change and still progress?
Right. So raising a child is one thing, and raising a child alone while running a company is another thing, right? So in my case, because I didn't have a co-founder, I still don't, but I now have partners in the company, executives, that I can delegate work to. Things have become much easier compared to before. But because previously I was hiding my child, it was quite challenging. Like every time I had a meeting, this is before he started going to the nursery school, hoikuen. I had to find a babysitter, but it was during COVID, so nobody was available, really. Yeah, so I had to rely on my father, who later passed away suddenly because of like some medical condition. It was quite challenging, but compared to like, let's say 3 years ago, things have actually got much, much better. So I think you talked about ikuji kyugyo.
Ikuji kyugyo, yes.
Right? I don't know the parental leave for daddies.
Yeah, although we were talking about how it's not really leave,
Right.
It's more like a job, actually.
Yeah. Ikuji kyuka. Kyuka means like a vacation. So, having child is not like a vacation, right? It's more like a job. So it's kyugyo in Japanese. Ikuji kyugyo, yeah.
So the government is fully aware, right? Things need to change, otherwise the birth rate would continue to drop. So that's one of the biggest change that I actually see. And I now want a second baby, so I thought about going to a sperm bank. Yeah, but that's only possible if investors say I can take another year of leave.
You should hide it.
You're good at it.
Maybe once is enough.
I'm very good at hiding. Investors actually didn't find out about the baby until he cried in the monthly meeting.
That's very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you're totally right. Just from myself living here the last few years as well, I really feel like there's been a lot more awareness. And in my work as a reporter as well, I write often about gender issues and social issues, and I've really noticed a lot more awareness and information out there, both from the government and from local groups and events like this, and that's really encouraging to see. And I think, Julie, as well, you touched on this a minute ago, but the awareness of also just gender diversity and the different roles that different genders can play in society. I mean, you mentioned there same-sex marriage. Obviously, it's still not legal here in Japan, but so many more local municipalities have been introducing these same-sex partnerships. I understand Yamagata has also done that recently, which is great to see. And you mentioned there's been progress across the region. I think it was Thailand legalized it a few months ago too, which is really encouraging. Now, you mentioned at the beginning your gender, and if you're comfortable, I'd love to ask more about that and what your experience has been like, both within Japan, but just sort of within yourself, and what it's like to live with that gender and the challenges, but also the positive things too about that experience.
So my gender is called non-binary. And despite me having the wonderful body of a woman, because this is my genetical thing and I cannot fight with that, and my husband also told me not to take this away, since I'm a child, I've never felt comfortable with anything related to feminine stuff. I remember one time a friend of my parents wanted to offer me a Barbie. I refused the present in front of my parents. They were so embarrassed, and there was no way. I didn't want a Barbie. I wanted a car. Okay, and I never thought I was a boy, but I thought many times, I wish I could be treated like a boy because it looks so much easier for them. I remember my mom trying a few times to give me a skirt to go and see my grandfather because little girls are more beautiful in a skirt. I was pouting so much. I think that she stopped very quick. But she also, I think after that, she never pushed us. I have a little sister, but she never pushed us to be feminine or masculine because I think she is actually very genderless herself. My mom is not a feminine person, and she has a very bad image of femininity, so I also have, it's another story, that's for my psychiatrist. But anyway, I always felt, so at home, I could wear pretty much what I wanted, and I could do any activity that I wanted and say the things the way I wanted and just be someone without gender. However, the society needs people, the society I grew in still needed people to be pink or blue. And each time someone would take me as a woman, say, oh, okay, girls this way, boys this way, I will feel such a fire inside. Like, that's so unfair. I'm stronger than any other boys in the classroom. And that was true. I was stronger than anyone. I was kicking so hard. Anyway, so it was just, making me I don't want to do ballet. I want to go basketball. Can't you just let people choose? Because I'm sure a few boys wanted to do ballet as well. Why do you, but I didn't realize because those gender stuff were not really out in the open. It was only 20 years ago, but still. The first thing I discovered was my sexuality. before I discovered I was non-binary, I discovered that I was pansexual. And it just makes sense. What a pansexual is that the gender of the person in front of me doesn't matter at all. What shape their body is just a bonus for me. It's like you have this or you have this. And for me, it doesn't change much because I like the personality of someone. I'm attracted by a personality, by someone who makes me laugh, by someone I feel good to be around, by someone that I want to spend time with them. That's what it is. And so actually it makes sense when I discovered later on, because it was around my 30s actually, that I was actually non-binary. Before that, I came to Japan and I tried to conform so much to the feminine because I live in Nagoya, right? Everybody knows Nagoya women are so feminine. They never get out without makeup. They need the Nagoya maki hair. Like they spend a lot in their appearance. And I was working in Nagoya and I tried so much to conform, wearing the office lady stuff and then makeup and stuff. Each time, I will feel like I was cosplaying. This is not cosplay, this is me. But this, for me, would be cosplaying. I know I look good when I dress as a girl, but for me it's dressing up, and it never felt really right. And that's only when I met my husband. I was still a woman, and he just made me feel so accepted. And this is where I realized that I didn't need to do anything just to be myself. And then at that time, it was 2 or 3 years ago, the non-binary stuff, the diversity just took on because of, thanks to internet, thanks to TikTok, thanks to people being at home and have a lot of time to do videos, thanks to Corona, that I finally had so many things in the French and English community, because in Japan, that's still not very out in the open. Sorry, very long. However, one example to show you that things are changing, I am actually a part-time consultant for a small city in Gifu Prefecture known as Gujo. Maybe some of you have heard about Gujo Odori, which is very famous. And I'm actually their official inbound consultant of Gujo Tourism Federation, Gujo Kankoremme. And there, on my Semonka profile, it's written non-binary. And maybe some people didn't contact me because of it, thanks to it. But in Gujo, nobody really talked about it until April. And I know that Sekisui House made a panel discussion in Gujo about different genders and like LGBTQ friendly kind of seminar. And when I knew this was happening in Gujo, like really in the middle of nowhere, I said, I would like to go. Like, if someone has to go, it should be me. And by the time I said that, the next week I came to Gujo, the Kacho, my boss, decided that all the staff should go. And I was so moved by that, because I never throw it at people. I have other battles to fight. Some people fight for LGBTQ, that's not my battle. So I never, threw at my coworkers like, I'm a girl, don't say this and don't say that. But by the way, they call me Jurisuke, right? So everybody went, and I feel good, not for me, but for those people's children. And that's something I wanted to ask to Yuji here too, because I think that's something for you. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure, please raise your hand, everyone who has children under 20. If you have children under 20, yeah, under 20, yeah, okay, a few people. But there is a very good chance that 3 to 10% of those children are going to be queer, whether it is that they do not conform to the gender they were born in, or that they don't like their body, or that they like another type of people that you would expect them to be. And the chances are that in the children here, there will be people that are going to be queer. So as parents, how would you react? We always think it happens to somebody else, but if it was to happen to you, have you thought about this as an option and how you would react? And I think usually you have something to say about that.
Right.
Sorry, that was very long.
Yeah. So, I have 4 kids and 2 boys, 2 girls. And that's what I know right now. But the second one, she was born as a girl, but I'm not sure what she is thinking right now and what she is feeling right now, because she's 10 years old right now. And she has a lot of friends, which is, I think it's a girl, but they had a birthday party, and the dress code was princess. And you have to pick some cute princess dress. But she was very afraid to wear that. And that's the time when we noticed maybe she's not feeling like a woman. And I talked about that with my wife, and my wife thought it's okay. Why don't you wear a pants? And wear...
Oh, as a prince?
Yeah, and do your princess or prince or anything. And we spoke to the girl's mother, which had a birthday party, and she was like, "Oh, of course, you could wear whatever you want." And she went as a prince. And and we were very proud that she was brave enough to wear a prince costume with all the princes in the So that's the point. We thought maybe she might be feeling something different. Yeah, we still never talked about that with her, so we don't know what she feels right now. But whatever it is, I think it's beautiful. And I just want my other child to understand that there are so many persons out the world. I mean, there's not only men and women, there's more. And there's even a lot of skin colors. And I'm having a father from America and mother from Japan. And there's a lot of things that we could share. So that's what I want the other child to know. And even the one who's maybe struggling right now to feel like you could do whatever. You could be whatever you want. Yeah, so we're actually happy to have a lot of child that thinks maybe different in our house. Yeah.
No, that's a really brilliant message, and the idea of celebrating difference is so important, and it comes back to what we were talking about at the beginning, which is acceptance of diversity, and instead of kind of trying to make everybody the same, celebrating what makes us different and how that can lead to strengths. And we should be encouraging that from a young age and for the next generation, right? Which is why parents like you, like both of you, are so important. And Kyoko, I want to come to you because obviously diversity manifests itself in lots of different ways. And you have an experience with your relationship in that your partner is not Japanese and comes from a different culture and a different language. And I want to ask you about how that experience has been. Have you ever, I suppose, come up against any challenges within Japanese society, having a foreign partner? Is there anything that you guys had to kind of overcome in order to strengthen your relationship? And does he feel like Japan has become, I suppose, slightly more accepting over the last few years too?
Yeah. Okay. I would like to talk about positive aspect. Yeah. First of all, my husband likes Japan a lot. So I really feel Japan is great since I met him. Yeah, because I'm Japanese and I live in Japan for a long time, like all my life. So it's like take for granted, like small izakaya in Japan is very good. Yeah, he live in UK, London for a long time, and he said London's kind of izakaya or pub is not good. Yeah. Very not good, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Japan is very good, yeah. So I can feel again Japan is very good from his opinion. Yeah, but sometimes we had encounter the situation like cultural difference with him. Yeah, like. I can't say my opinion clearly. Even still, yeah, I hesitate to tell my opinion like clearly. But he wanted to hear about that. Why, when, like, how come, like, sometimes. So, but for me, it's difficult. Yeah, even like negative things, especially. Yeah. So, but yeah, gradually I'm changing like mind and like attitude to him. Yeah, and yeah, we getting along with our like background or like culture difference. Yeah, yeah, gradually. Yeah, maybe Aris-san is also same.
I can definitely relate. My partner is Japanese, and I can definitely relate to the, even if you can speak each other's languages, the difference in communication style. I mean, it's really interesting and you're learning every day, but it can sometimes lead to frustration too. And that's, again, where the acceptance and also where the learning, the constant learning on both sides. And I think that's something that's really coming up throughout the discussion today is the willingness to approach something new and learn something new and be accepting of new ideas, whether that's communication style or gender identity or nationality or whatever it is. And I want to come to you, Akemi, actually, because your company or one of the things that you do is this Bebot chatbot, right? Which is used sometimes, if I'm correct in understanding, for in tourism and for communicating with people from different nationalities. And this is something that came up in the speeches before as well, but is the role of technology in facilitating this inclusivity and different communication styles. And we've heard about how we're all doing that as humans, but that technology can also be an important tool. Can you just tell us a bit more about that tool and how it works and how you see it being more important in the future?
Right. So now it's 2024. I probably don't need to explain about how chatbot works, right? Like 2017, most people in this room knows how chatbot works. It's just like ChatGPT. In our case, for instance, today, maybe 3-4 hours ago, everyone's phone was beeping, right? Emergency like notices, like evacuation, like stuff. When emergency like that happens, oftentimes it's only in Japanese. So you'll be fine, and you'll be fine. You speak Japanese, you can read messages. But for non-Japanese who don't understand basic Japanese, they get panicked. It's like phone beeps, and it looks like an emergency. Do I need to evacuate, or do I need to stay? People have no idea. And back in 2021, I also encountered Islamic terrorist attack in Vienna. Over 20 people died and got injured. This is during U.S. presidential election. Like everyone was talking about election. Nobody talked about Vienna terrorist attack. I think I was the only Japanese person there, but no information was available in Japanese or English. It was only in German. So until the next day, I had no idea this is a terrorist attack. Next morning, streets in Vienna, all empty. There's no human walking around. There was only me, because I didn't know I wasn't supposed to be out. The mayor apparently said the suspects might be out still. Could have been me, but he got shot, right? But anyway, so my company does a chatbot for tourism, emergency response, all sorts of situations to bridge the gap bridge the language gap, especially for things that need real-time information. And technology changes very rapidly, as everyone knows. So previously, if it's a chatbot, it needed to be kind of like FAQ-based, right? Like you need to prepare questions and you need to prepare responses and answers. So it takes a lot of maintenance efforts. But today, with generative AI and a new language model, things are much quicker. So you don't need to prepare everything ahead of time. That also means sometimes lower accuracy, slower response, and higher cost of maintenance and other things as well, but you don't need to solve everything with just one technology. You can always combine multiple things to respond to the situation, right? And then another example is on January 1st this year, we had a Noto earthquake. I was eating dinner with my son and his father at home in Tokyo. And in the late afternoon, suddenly my phone's like so many notifications. So our chatbot system is all automated, but when we get a lot of errors means chatbots fail to respond to some of the messages. We also get like notifications. I opened one of the notifications, and turned out it was a chat rescue request with the actual address from someone who lived in Suzu City, the Noto area. It was the actual address with the rescue request. No way technology can process that. And we have a team of operators who handles those emergency cases because we have a contract with the government. But because I opened it, I thought like, okay, maybe I should be calling emergency. So in Japan, it's 119番. So I called, but it only goes to Tokyo Emergency Department. So as soon as I said the Suzu City address, they're like, no, this is Tokyo, not Suzu, so please call this number. And they give me just a regular Suzu emergency like number. I kept thinking like, this isn't gonna go through. I ended up calling 200 times. Didn't go through. Then we had to make a request. We had to forward the request to the relevant parties to take over. But technologies still have limitations.
Yeah, definitely.
It needs to be combined with human, assistance.
For sure. And I mean, that's a crazy story, and it really, really highlights, again, what I was saying earlier, how much crisis really makes us realize that the need for inclusivity and communication, but that also we shouldn't wait until a crisis happens to embrace this, the need for inclusivity, right? And that's why what you're doing is so important, and what all of you are doing, and why we're here today, right, is so that we can be prepared and so that we can make inclusivity just a part of our everyday society. And then hopefully things will go slightly more smoothly when there is actually a crisis. I mean, I have to say that I feel like no matter how many years I live in Japan and how much I study Japanese, I will never quite get used to those emergency alerts. Although I'm very grateful for them and I know that they save lives, it is always terrifying to receive that in your own language, let alone in a language that is foreign to you, right? So it's so important, and I'm really glad you told that story, because I really think it really highlights how important what it is that we're talking about today. It's not just about, being able to study abroad and meeting your partner and things like that. It can sometimes be a life or death situation, inclusive society. And I think that's a really good point to make. Now, I'm aware that we only have 10 minutes left. I have to say the time has really flown by. There's so many more things that we wanted to talk about. But I just want to come to each of you in turn. So our topic for today was a bridge for an inclusive society. And I think after this discussion, we can all agree that all four of our panelists definitely serve as those bridges in their own different ways. But I want to ask each of you, what advice would you give to anybody in the audience today or listening online, anybody who thinks that they might still be in school or they might be older, but that they would like to also play a part in becoming that bridge and in contributing to that inclusive society? Maybe it's in their own village in Yamagata, or maybe it's the world over. What piece of advice would you give to someone who's thinking that from your own experience? And also from what you've heard today? Yuji, would you like to go first?
Okay, there's so many things that I could give as an advice, but well, when I think one thing, I think it's gonna be maybe love. Yeah, love is the key, because there's so many loves that help me. I was raised by one mother and no brothers or sisters, and it was pretty sad as a childhood in Japan. I had a sad memory. But when I grew up and I married and I got a child for my own, I started to think my mother was loving me so much. And she was working so hard for me, and that's the reason why she wasn't at home. And that was all to raise me. So I started to understand she had all the love, and I wasn't an easy child as a childhood. I had so many problems going at schools, and my mother had to finish her job really quick and come to the school to pick me up, and I did so many bad things to my mother, But right now I love her so much, and she still loves me, and that's what I'm trying to do to my child. And quick short story, my grandfather from Japan, he passed away already, but he was in the kamikaze in World War II. You know kamikaze, right? You go on the plane and you're gonna lose your life, actually. And he was ready for that. And he was in the higher level at that point, so he had to teach how to drive the plane. And all his friends that he trained together already went to the plane, so they never came back. And his turn was coming, in 2 days, and he was ready for that. Then the war stopped, finished, So he didn't have to go on the plane. But he was very sad, he said. He was very sad that he was ready to give his life for Japan. And so since that, he hated United States at that point. But his daughter, which is my mother, married to an American guy. And he was very shocked at that point, and he even told his daughter, which is my mother, don't go back to America and never come back to Japan. He was very like that, very cold. But since my mother divorced and brought me back to Japan, my grandfather held me, which I was a little child, and he smiled. And he was very happy to see me, because it's his first grandchild. I was his first grandchild. And he started to say, I want to meet his father. And that's the point when he started to change his mind. The key is love, right? My grandfather held me in his arm, and he loved me so much, and he now wants to talk to my father, and he even started to study English to communicate with my father. And he only spoke few words, but that was good enough for him. And my father speaks only English, but he understands that my grandfather is trying to communicate with him. So I felt love there too. So I think the key for this having a good communication with overseas and a lot of people, the key is love, I think.
Definitely, that's such a beautiful story, thank you. And really powerful, really good point. Akemi, can we come to you next? I'm going to have to ask people to limit to just a minute or so because we are running out of time.
I spoke too much.
No, it's a brilliant story. Please, go ahead.
Sure. I'm sure everyone here understands the word diversity in their head, but probably not everyone has experienced it. If you want to experience it, the quickest way is to create your own company, your own community, recruit different type of people from all around the world.
Thank you, that's very good. And I hope that some people in the audience today will be inspired by that, and maybe we are sitting amongst some future business starters here today as well. Julie, how about you?
I think always when I see someone, that's someone else's child. And even when we see so much war stuff at TV, everything, I always think of the parents who raised that child hoping that would be the best human on earth. Even the bad ones. So I would say that maybe the best way is your children might come to meet a lot of people in their life. They might go abroad. And you want people who will host them to treat them with love. So you should treat other people's children with the same love that you would like your children to be treated outside of your home.
Yeah, that's really nice. That links to Yuji's point as well about love, right? Yeah. Kyoko, how about you? What would you say to someone that wants to become a bridge for an inclusive society?
Yeah, a quick message from me is, it's important to talk and meet a lot of friends, a lot of people, like us, maybe it becomes a more good people and a good understanding each other, or get new sense of something. So it's my message from me. That's all. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that today, and just all of you guys coming here today and spending this time with us, and hopefully also going to some of the other brilliant events that will be happening across this summit in the coming days, that's such a great first step. And like you say, Kyoko, just getting out there and meeting people and making connections really is the first step in creating an inclusive society. And that's why it's such a pleasure for us to be here today. It's a pleasure for me to come back to Yamagata, and I hope that you have all really enjoyed this session, and I hope that we get to speak to some of you in the closing session as well. But thank you so much to all of our brilliant panelists. It's really been a very invigorating discussion. I definitely feel inspired. I hope you do too. And yeah, thank you very much.
Perfect conclusion, Aris-san. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all the panelists and facilitator Aris. Before we go for question and answer session, Mr. Torakichi Izumi, an advisor of Yamagata Youth Summit, will give a speech. Mr. Torakichi Izumi is a CEO of STEM Planning Office Incorporated. He's an originator of artist-making lacquer brush Seikichi Izumi the 10th. He was trained by his father, Seikichi Izumi the 9th, as a lacquer brush artist from an early age. He's the only person in the world who has inherited the family's secret technique, which has been around for more than 360 years since the Seikichi Izumi the first. He has served as an advisor of Yamagata Youth Summit since July 2022. Mr. Izumi, please go to the stage and begin your speech.
Thank you. Since I am not good at speaking English, I will refer my note while giving this speech. First of all, I would like to express my heartfelt sympathy to everyone affected by heavy rains and flooding in Yamagata, Noto, and other parts of the country. I sincerely hope for the safety and quick recovery of those affected. I would like to thank the panelists for the wonderful discussion. Due to delay in the Shinkansen, I was only to catch up. I was only able to catch part of the discussion. I was very insightful and learned a lot. I've been an external advisor to this year's Yamagata Summit for the last 3 years, and I would like to share some thoughts based on that experience. I think the Yamagata Youth Summit is an excellent project. Compared to 3 years ago, it has grown to involve more diverse countries, regions, and people. It is steadily growing and truly embodies the theme of this year, Bridge for an Inclusive Society. To achieve an inclusive society, I believe that mutual understanding and collaboration are essential. In order to promote such initiatives throughout society and across the prefecture, it is important for not only individuals, but also prefecture government and the private sector to work together. In my career, I have worked with people from various fields, ranging from traditional industries to IT. I have worked with governmental organizations, large enterprises, and startups, both locally and internationally. By the way, I'm not very fluent in English. Based on my experience, I can say that large-scale projects and initiatives cannot be achieved without the involvement of many different people. Furthermore, it is not enough for only one side to approach the other. Both sides must make an effort to meet each other halfway. I believe that having opportunities for such mutual understanding is crucial. In that sense, the Yamagata Youth Summit provides a wonderful platform for this kind of engagement. If we can take the spirit of collaboration fostered here and expand it beyond this event to entire prefecture and society, we can create a better world. To achieve this, the contribution of everyone of you here are important. Let us act together and create real change. Finally, I would like to once again express my deepest gratitude to everyone involved in making this youth summit possible. I look forward to continuing this spirit of collaboration with all of you in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Izumi. Now we would like to open the floor to any possible questions you all may have. Please raise your hand if you have questions. Anyone?
If you don't have questions, I'm gonna ask you randomly.
Please.
Okay? I know Japanese don't ask questions, but if you don't do, I'll be your teacher and I'm just pointing at people. So raise your hand if you're ready.
日本語しかできないです。すいません、日本語しかできないので、大田さんが自信を持つことが大事って、ごめんなさい、緊張すると声が震えてしまって。
大丈夫です。
はい。でも自信を持てない人がたくさんいる。障害を持っている人とか貧困とか、LGBTQ の人とか、でもそれはその人の問題ではなくって社会の問題であって、あとは私たち個人の問題でもあると思うんですね。でそれはやっぱり全体に余裕がなかったりとか、その仕事に追われてるとか家事で追われてるとか、もう自分のことで精一杯で周りに目を向けることができない人があまりにも多くって、だから人にも寛容になれないのかなって。でもやっぱりそういうのをなくしていきたいなって思ってて、どうしたらね、そういう人たちがもっと楽に暮らせるのかなって、もう少し私たちがそういう方々のために目を向けることができるのかなって思ってます。
ありがとうございます。日本語でいいですよね。日本語でいいです。はい。日本語で言った方が分かりやすいかな。そうです。はい。そうですね。なんか私も別に自分にもともと自信がありますが、キャラクター的にちょっとどちらかというと外交的なタイプだと私は思っていて、はい、それでちょっとその性格を生かして、私が自信をできるだけ皆さん持ちましょうっていう話は一意見として私が言えると思うんですけども、私もですね、よく私母は私に言うのはすごい外交的でポジティブそうだけども性格に欠陥あるよねっていうのはよく言われるんですね。で私もそれって性格ってよく私を知らないと多分わからない部分だと思うので、そこが自分の欠陥だと思いながらも、ポジティブな面はできるだけ外の人にいい影響を与えられる可能性があるのであれば発信していこうと思ってやっています。でやっぱりちょっと今日パネルディスカッション出た人とか多分みんなそうやってポジティブな面をいろいろ人への理解だったりとか社会をより良くしようという人が、少なくともいるんだなと思っていただければすごい嬉しいですし、今ご質問とかコメントいただいたようにやっぱりこういう人もいるんだよとかこういうところでみんなそうじゃないんだよっていうご意見もすごい聞く姿勢でいるので、そういう意見を聞いてぜひみんなで良い社会を作っていきたいなと思ってる次第です。はい、ちょっとコメントになっちゃいますがありがとうございます。
Do any of the other panelists have anything to add to that?
ミリタントにならなくても大丈夫ですよ。ミリタントというか、そのファイティングしてる人をなる必要はない。とにかく周りの人に頼りになれる人になったら十分。ってことが何か言われた時に常識だと思ってたことは実は常識じゃなかったんだって。それだって LGBT 関係じゃなくてもあるじゃないですか。いろいろ本当に社会の中で LGBT をまた別にしたとしても、ただ日本人だけの普通の一般人って言ってもみんなそれぞれですよね。そこの中では自分に影響があるかどうかっていうことだけを知って、自分に影響があったらちょっとじゃあどう答えましょうかっていうことなんですけど、自分に影響がないものだったら別に無視してもいいっていうか戦う必要はないかなとは思います。とにかく悪化させないようにだけの行動だけを取っていただけたらいいかなと思います。でもね、その質問をするだけでね、十分できているっていう証拠だと思います。
そしたら私も少しだけ追加させていただいてよろしいですか。大田さんはきっと自信の使い方をご存知だと思うんです。で、おそらく今ステージにいる他の皆さんもある程度自信を持っていると、こういうふうに使うものなんだなっていうイメージが湧いているので、この自信がその戦うための武器の一つになっていると私は解釈しているんですね。ただ、世の中全員自信満々の人で溢れてしまう世界できっと怖いと思っていて、物事が成り立たないと思うんです。なので私は最近ですね、親しくしていただいている投資家さんに、独身で結婚できなくて自信がないというふうに相談された時に何と言ったかというと、自信なんて何に使うのって。そしたらシーンとしてしまって、絶対なければいけないものだとやっぱり刷り込まれていたようで、持ってても使うものじゃないならいらないんじゃないって言ったら大爆笑されたんです。なのでもしかしたらあった方がいいかもしれないけれども、なくても生きていけないものではないし、ないと必ず幸せになれないものではないので、もう少しリラックスして挑んでいくっていうのもやり方の一つなんじゃないのかなと思いました。
今の話で追加で、今ちょっと僕もそうだなと思ったのが、おっしゃるように自信がある人で溢れたら怖いですよね。だから例えばチームっていう話を僕は今日させてもらったんですけど、例えばサッカーに例えた時にフォワードがいて、でディフェンスも守る人もいて、だから全員ポジションがあるんで、これ全員が攻めちゃうと万が一相手にボール取られたらもうゴールガラ空きなんですよね。だから多分そのチームワークっていうのはそれぞれのポジションを見つけることなんじゃないかなと思うんで、自分が例えば自信のない人間だと思ったとしても、自分は自信ないポジションを担当すればいいんだ、で自信あるところはこの人にやってもらって、その代わり自分はここはちょっと助けられるかもっていうポジションにいることが大事なんじゃないかなと思いました。はい、あと明美さんに一個質問していいですか。ずっと気になってて、
Do you mind doing it in English?
Okay, I want to ask Akemi-san. She shared a story about Starbucks that you went, right? And you ordered a caramel frappuccino, right? And they gave you the hot chocolate, and you brought. You brought the hot chocolate back home, and what happened to the hot chocolate?
I drank it while crying.
Was it good? Did you still like it?
No, that was the worst hot chocolate ever.
Okay. I was just wondering
again.
what happened to the hot chocolate. I'm sorry.
Okay, shall we continue? Okay. Is there any other questions? We'll take the next question as the last one. Yes.
Hello, everyone. First, I'd like to thank you for being here today. I know it was quite rainy, and Yamagata is very far for some of you, so I really appreciate you guys coming and sharing with us your experiences and your lives with us. My question is pertaining to the realization, the tangible realization of a diverse and inclusive society. As we've established today, you guys all come from very, very different, very diverse sectors. We have members of the media, we have members of technology, we have members of tourism, among many others represented in this room. And through diversity, of course, the needs and demands of each sector is very different. In achieving an inclusive society, we of course will need different resources, whether that's money, funds, skills, manpower, and resources are quite limited. And so my question today is, as we strive for a more inclusive society, how do we prevent competition, cross-sector, cross-industry competition from being a barrier to achieving a more diverse and more inclusive society?
That's a great question. Does anybody want to go first? Go for it, Julie.
Alex, this is really what you want to hear. Competition only comes from fear. You only are a competitor when you fear that the other one is better than you, or then you're going to lose something. As soon as you see the person next to you as a potential help, a potential savior, then you're not in competition anymore. You're in help and you're in collaboration. So exactly like the soccer team, or like in a band, if everyone wants to be the seed leader, the leader singer, nothing happens. But then you could go chorus. You could create a new sport where everybody is attackant. I don't know. But competition only comes from fear of not being the best. But sorry, I know we just finished the Olympic Games, and as a French person, I must say I didn't watch it because I don't like competition. I don't care to know who's the best, really. Who's the fastest one? Good. Don't give money for that. Anyway, that's my opinion. So competition only comes from when you need external validation to tell you that you're the best or what you do is good. So self-confidence come in, experience come in, and fear of what's outside of yourself comes when you see the word competition. So if you think that different fields in society could compete with each other, it means that you are creating the barrier. If you think that each field has something that can help the next field, like AI could be used in so many different things, then you create collaboration. And diversity is all about collaboration. How in the same soccer team, some people are good at shooting and some people are good in stopping the balls. Just ask people around, communicate to find what they're good at and where they're bad at, and use that efficiently. So it's not competition, it's all about collaboration.
I think you've summarized really well there, Julie. Do we have time to hear from other panelists, or we should?
Actually, we need to move on to the next question.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah, please.
But thank you very much. And that was supposed to be the last question, but since we have some high school students participating today, we would like to have some questions from students. Is there anyone who wants to ask a question? 高校生の方、学生さんがいらっしゃるようなので、ぜひご意見というか
日本語で大丈夫ですよ。
はい、日本語で大丈夫です。どなたか
恥ずかしくない。大丈夫。
どなたかいらっしゃいませんか？感想でもいいです。じゃあぜひ、はい。
なんかすごく皆さんの質問がすごくて頭が追いついてないんですけど、質問があるとすれば、私の友達とか、なんか身近な人にシングルマザーとかシングルファザーっていう家庭で育った人がいるんですけど、周りにそういう人がいるときに、そういう場で育った人たちっていうのはどういうふうにそのシングルファザーとかシングルマザーっていう環境で育ってどういうふうに生活そういうことを聞いたときにどういうリアクションをすればいいか分からなくて、その時のリアクション のされ方を教えてほしいです。
How about you, Akemi, as a single mother yourself, how would you like people to react?
I'm not sure people go like, oh, and that's it, right? And is that what I expect? Maybe, yeah. I mean, there are single moms and single dads, like family have different shapes and forms. So you can react in any way you want. There's no standards. And I'm sure people accept that. Now it's 2024, so.
I think you could be honest and you could ask them, how's it be to be a child of single mother or single father? And I was like that, and if somebody asked me back then, I didn't feel very sad. I was like, I think I would have been sharing how I felt. And there's a good part too. I don't have to share any foods with the brothers or sisters, and I don't have to see father and mother fighting, and there's a good part. So you could just ask them how you feel being a single child or having single parents. It's nothing to be ashamed, so you could just ask about that,
Before asking, you should ask permission though. Because not everybody might be happy to talk about it, and you never know what is the situation in between the parents. Maybe the parents is deceased, maybe they're still fighting. So the only thing you can do is, oh, that's interesting. I may have a few questions. Would you like to talk about it? If you don't want to, that's okay. And if they say, oh, yes, for sure, no problem, ask every question you want. But, you never know what people are going through, especially Japanese people who are very good at hiding what's happening, like being pregnant, come on. So, just ask if they would love to talk about it. And if they give you, approval, let's do it. Same for gender. Actually, same for anything like what gender do you identify, or like would you like to talk about it? Some people don't want to talk about things, so always ask for consent for anything, and that's probably, the basic of understanding and living together.
Thank you very much. It's about time to end the question and answer session. Again, thank you very much for participating in today's panel discussion, and give a round of applause to all panelists and Alice French, a facilitator. Thank you very much. We'd like to thank those who are watching this event on YouTube. Please read the QR code on the monitor and fill out the survey. Thank you for your cooperation. And live streaming will be ending soon. Thank you for watching, and hope you had a wonderful time with us. We are holding a meet and greet soon. So everyone here today will have a chance to network, exchange opinions and business cards. We'll take a group photo of all panelists and facilitator on the stage, and we will have time for a meet and greet afterwards. May I ask all the panelists to come back to the stage, and also Ari-san. At first, we'll take a group photo of today's panelists and facilitator, and the cameraman there will be a cameraman on a center aisle.